This isn't
to
finally.
join the place or something?
Does he have access to the place?
Yeah, has chance to roll him, but I don't know if you saw it. I think he is. I don't know who else has access to the group holder. Yeah, okay, they
Is
said
there
they.
a license that to
I'm
join?
mad.
Yeah, there's a place.
Yeah.
I'll send you the link to it, but in a minute, chances he's just finishing some updates. He'll join and roll you.
Chance when the
Okay, it's live.
update is updating.
We are live. Okay, let me just make sure everything's good. Loaf Cheese Productions. Alright. So if you guys hear me talking in my stream chat a little. White Dev, we see like. Alright, let's get a more interesting visual on screen real quick. Oh, I can put out the tweet now too.
How do you get the link to a stage?
A stage?
Just invite to the stage.
Oh, create invite.
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright. Oh, Sage is here. I'll invite these guys up. Invite as.
Actually, I'm gonna wait till they start up. Actually,
Alright,
He started.
I'm living. I'm living, yeah.
you're live.
Alright, let me also put out a
Send the
ping
link.
in my server. Yeah, I'm putting in announcements.
My pod.
What is it?
Bet.
Alright. I'll also post in my server too real quick. Right. I don't know what the turnout's gonna be like at this hour, but nice background, I love it. Put out that tweet too. If you can read or whatever, then go ahead. There we go. Retweet the tweet, guys.
Bro said that looks cool, then post the podcast.
Hello.
What's up, Raz? Alright.
It's still private for me, by the way.
Yeah, he's Chance is gonna join in a bit. Roll you.
I think they're finishing up the
Okay.
build still, probably. Alright. Hopefully people start joining up in the stream real quick. Let's see. I'll retweet the put a tweet out. I'll also send that in I'll send in general or something. Wanna go retweet that? Sick.
Let me go retweet.
Wait. Should. Nah.
Alright, awesome. Only have 4 viewers right now? That's crazy. It's either gonna be really hit or really miss.
I see 8.
8. Oh, okay,
Yeah.
they're just updated, yeah. Sometimes it takes
How do I-
a little bit, but I think it should be good. Either way, we'll have some new people tuning in as well.
CATMOB HQ, baby.
Let me go check in with Chance.
Alright. Sorry for the delay. I know it's taking a little, but
Oh, Rocket.
Yo,
I think you're gonna have to join the group.
I think
Or
he
it's gonna
did.
be-
Oh, yeah, he
Oh, he
did.
did?
No, yeah, he did.
He did,
But I think
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like affiliate or I don't know if he needs to make like a visitor role. So he has to make a role and then make sure he does it in studio. But then I think we're set. Let's get some non-copyright jazz on in the background.
Some non-copyright jazz.
It's non-copyright.
No, wait.
Is that the same jazz
Chance
we have in
said
game?
Chance said he's so the game's gonna be public and he's just making a private server.
Oh,
So
okay,
like
that's
private
good.
server?
Yeah.
All right.
That's cool.
Also, Peter, if you want to have any prior knowledge to who these guys are, then there's a whole channel here, Meet the Team, if you want to skim that at all for the podcast. But we'll also go around, like I said, and introduce ourselves as well.
Okay.
But if that, we're just waiting on those last few guys.
We're going to press 0
Is Anthony
and
AFK?
No.
sit in the chair and then like use the sit animation.
Alright, I'm deafened for a little on Discord, guys. What's up, chat? If you guys are gonna enjoy the stream, sorry, I'm a little antsy when he's on stream. Anyways, sorry. Anyways, if you guys are gonna enjoy the stream, obviously like, subscribe, whatever. I don't know. I did that in a weird order. Anyways, if you guys don't know who MrChickenRocket is, he's a very talented, extremely skilled programmer, and he's done a lot of work on Roblox and also on mobile games and in Unity before. You can look him up on Twitter and all that stuff. If you guys know Fruit Ninja and Jetpack Joyride, he also worked on those games as well. And he does a lot of cool backend stuff, and like GitHub repository, whatever. Like he does cool stuff. He does a lot of cool stuff. I don't know all the techno mumbo jumbo. Like I don't know the jargon about that, but either way, if you guys are excited, remember to share the stream with your friends. If you don't know what CATMOB is, by the way, this is a studio that I'm part of with me and my friends, and we're gonna obviously we're gonna make games and stuff together, but we have a lot of cool stuff coming soon, and just podcasts like these at the start of it. So tune in every Sunday for podcasts just like this. Hopefully this jazz isn't too loud over my voice. I'll turn it down a little bit if need be. But yeah, that's all I really have to say. We're just waiting on a couple people to join the stream. What is up? Anyways, oh yeah, I have to share it to Place as well. I have to share it to a server real quick. Well, either way, how are you guys doing? Spam the chat if you're excited for this, I guess. But we should be starting any minute here. Looks like some of our members are coming back. I know we were supposed to do this at 12, or not 12:30, 10:30 EST. It's now 10:40 EST. And actually looks like one of the guys that we were waiting for is back now. I'll bring him up onto stage real quick. I'll bring all of them, and then I'm gonna undeafen.
Yo, did 3 go AFK?
Yeah, no, I just talked to stream for a little, but we're good now. I think everyone's here, right?
Cool.
Hello.
Hello. Just going back to the audience.
What's up?
I'm about to start streaming in a second. Give me a second.
Alright, awesome. 2-for-1 streams. Eventually we can just, start streaming on that channel, I feel like, but
Yeah.
now we're chilling.
Did you ping in here?
I think so. I pinged the podcast pings rule. I don't know how many people are following that. I did announcements or something. But either way.
Hey, you.
Bad.
Bad.
Admin.
I was gonna say bad. I love the outfit.
Oh, you guys
I mean, it's very eye catching, bro. It is very eye catching.
Wait, are you guys in the game now?
Yeah, we're in
Yeah,
game.
Whoa, where are these who are these bacon hairs in game? What is going on?
Yeah, my
That's
folder.
the holder.
Oh, okay. Is that a private server?
All right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna start.
No, this is a public server.
I'm gonna start streaming in a second. So you guys ready?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
there's, like random people in there.
Good.
Look, I just hit my mic. Okay, my
A
mic's
lot of
working.
people, bro.
Who's this? Mr. Chicken Robot dude. I'm just kidding.
What?
If
Alright,
you
let's
press
see.
0 and then go to the sit anims
Oh, okay, that's cool.
section in the GUI, you could like
Oh,
change your
okay, that's
animation.
great. Whoa. Okay, I'm loading in. Hold on. Keep lagging a little, but we're good.
Admin, you love to copy me, bro.
What
What did
I
Edmund
didn't
do?
even see you.
All right, I'm live. I'm
Whoa,
live.
whoa, whoa. I thought we were going in the other room.
We are.
The
Yeah,
this
we're going in this room.
Alright.
This room. This room.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll notice Peter up on this shelf. I put a little Easter egg. I think I'll start doing that for every podcast guest. I'll leave a little Easter egg towards them. You can take one of the end seats if you'd like, since you're like the guest and whatnot.
Oh, that's really cool.
Oh, let me
think
raise his
that should
voice a
become
little bit.
trend. Let's see the
I like
cameras.
I like that, dude.
Oh, here. Oh, that's a lot of animations.
I'm hearing doubles.
Chance noise suppression. Alright, I think we're good. Alright. So I guess we're gonna start off the stream as usual then, right? How we just kinda go around and introduce everyone. If everyone's here. I think.
Yeah.
Alright. Anthony, are you streaming now?
I am streaming. I should be live. Yeah.
Alright, awesome.
So, gentlemen, you're probably wondering why I've gathered you here today. How do we kill Superman?
Get Batman.
Wait, see how he
Get Batman.
See, nah, no, see, I think we're safe for a little. It's just okay, he's not on. Okay, we're good. We should get.
Hey,
some more
Mr. Chicken, if you press 0 and go to synonyms, you can choose whatever. Yeah, there you go.
He was already doing that a little bit ago. He was walking around with his legs in the air.
Wait, do we have
I don't know
cameras
what
in this
his
room?
chances like.
We don't. I don't think you really
No,
notice that much.
no,
I
that's
can
not
just,
really.
I can fly around if need be.
Bet.
We also have that TV image thing.
Yo,
so
Ed, why you staring at me like that, bro?
Let me find an image. Actually, Anthony, you can probably find some images.
Yo, this is a very dramatic pose right here.
Anyways,
This is
very
nice. You look mad, Anthony.
I said now that everything's all situated, I guess we can
Yeah.
go ahead and get to the formalities. Start introducing everybody. I think we'll start with. We'll just start with Edmund and we'll go around the room.
Okay. Hello everyone. I'm Batman, and to keep it brief, well, we're all developers on Roblox, but I've developed a lot of different games, but my most popular is Rooftop and Rooftop 2, and that's pretty much what I'm most known for. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. We'll go to Riff Raff now. Is Riff Raff here? Oh, he's deafened.
Deafened.
Okay, we're gonna skip him for now. We'll come back on. Oh, whoa, that's a scheming pose, Sage.
Yeah, I'm the thinker. So on stage, programming. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna keep it pretty brief. My name is Anthony. I am a VFX
That was already
artist,
longer than
animator.
Sage's introduction. Come on, it's not brief enough, Anthony. Continue.
Animator. Yeah, that's it. I lost my train of thought.
Yeah. Well, if you find that train, then hop aboard again later. Here's
Hello,
Raspberry.
I'm Raz.
On fleek as
I
always.
specialize in 3D character. What? I specialize in 3D character design. Have background in Unity and a bit of Unreal. Came back to Roblox, so yeah.
Sick, awesome. Then we have Rahum.
What's
Feel
up?
free
What's
to-
up? I'm Rahum. I'm an environmental designer and music composer.
Oh, there's you.
Just-
Oh yeah, refresh back to
CJ
Google
Bush
Maps.
head.
Is that all I have to say, or?
Yeah, that's all I gotta
Alright.
say.
All right, this is
keep
this
this
is
up, bro.
bad or Yum. You guys by many names, I suppose. Is he here? Okay,
I don't know.
No, I'm here.
okay.
So, hello everybody. I'm Bad. Not not to take up a lot of time, but I'm a scripter. I'm do UI design. I've done software engineering for most of my career, but I'm back on the path of game development, and I hope to make some spectacular games.
Awesome.
Awesome.
We can go to MrChickenRocket right now.
Hey, my name's Peter in real life. I've been on the Roblox platform for a few years, but I'm from the mobile gaming space, really. Done a bunch of engine stuff, worked on a bunch of pretty famous mobile games, all the way back from like Fruit Ninja and Jetpack Joyride, through to working at King for 5 years over in Sweden. So that's all like Candy Crush and all of that stuff.
Jeez.
On Roblox itself, I'm not super famous or anything, but I've been working behind the scenes with quite a few top-end experiences, mostly on optimization stuff. You know, like I've got a lot of experience with how Roblox works behind the scenes, so I've been able to help games go faster, which has turned out to be quite a good little career move for me, actually.
It's pretty solid. I'm sure we have a lot of stuff to talk about that later on, but we'll go over to Ricey now.
Konnichiwa. My name is Ricey. I'm a builder and 3D modeler, soon to be programmer. I'm working on my skills right now, but yeah, nice to meet you guys. Or hi, whatever. Yeah.
This is the first time we've met him, by the way.
Yeah, first time.
Okay, now
Yeah,
that Riff is
first
back, we can get his introduction. It's clear he's scheming about something now, but is he here? Is he deafened again? Hold on.
Rigrag.
He's muted.
He's muted. Riff Raff.
I'm sorry. I had a bustling family in the background,
Alright,
but I'm an animator and a music composer. I am currently working on a project called the Siba.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's me and Rahum like to call it the next super hit. But yeah, besides that, I've worked on Edmund's game, Rooftop 2. What's my phone doing? And I've also made music for Three's game, Dysfunctional Diner. And yeah, and I'm currently looking forward to whatever we're gonna make next in CATMOB. So that's me.
And I guess that's a good segue into, for those who are new around here, what exactly is CATMOB?
Wait, you gotta introduce yourself.
Oh, you're right.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
right. Well, I'm Threesto. You know, I've been trying to build a name for myself in the Roblox community this last year mostly, and I'm a builder, programmer. I do a lot of stuff really. I've been getting into UI more, but I'm I guess a full stack developer. I've released a lot of a handful of solo projects, and I've been releasing more games recently, and hopefully this is just the first step in my career as a developer, and right now it's shaping up to look like it could be my living in the near future, but I'm sure we have a lot of cool stuff to talk about, or just eventually do in CATMOB. We'll go back to that question. What exactly is CATMOB? Now, all of the fine gentlemen you see here, excluding MrChickenRocket, are part of a group called CATMOB, and we're an upcoming, I guess, game dev studio full of a lot of long-time Roblox developer friends who kind of come from all walks of life and all aspects of human nature, I guess. Something corny like that, but anyways, we're all very skilled in what we do, and we all have a lot that we bring to the table, but the most important part is that we're more so a family than anything else, and I've known a lot of these guys, for 3, maybe even 4 years at this point. But either way, we have a lot of cool stuff planned in the future, and we really think we could all take off in the future and make this, our jobs, and just do this, to put it simply. If anyone else has anything they want to add on to that, then feel free.
Hey, we got that dog in us.
Oh,
Anyways, now who wants to start us off with any topic or anything? Not all the formalities are out of the way.
I would like to start us off. Look, all right. So, MrChickenRocket, the
Yo.
map, and I know you are professional at making maps optimized. Are you lagging now?
No, am I good?
You're not lagging?
No,
Alright,
no.
that's good. Alright, so how would you say you could make a game like this, optimize? What would you do to optimize a game like this? Especially since, we got like background buildings out there and stuff that, are pretty high on poly count. And there's a lot of models high on poly count and stuff. What would you do to make this place as less laggy as you possibly could?
Okay. So the main thing that goes on with games is that they draw too many triangles, or they draw too many draw calls, which happens when you change materials. So if you start from that point of view, you basically want to say, I'm going to build a game, and I want to put all this cool stuff in it, but I want to basically have to work to a budget. So it's like, the advice I most commonly give game teams is, say, if you're going to build a mobile game on Roblox, what you probably want to aim for is about 500,000 in-scene triangles and probably 500 or less draw calls. You can get this.
500,000 triangles a map?
No, not a map. In scene, like in camera, when the player's moving around. So, like, if you imagine you standing right in one corner of the map, looking right out across the other corner of the map, and you can see everything, that can be 500,000. But it could also be 500,000 if you the player's view is limited to a section of the map. You could spend 500,000 there too. So most games that I see that are well optimized swing between like half a million all the way up to about $1 million, and 500 draw calls up to about 1,000 draw calls.
All right, okay, I knew it.
So that's mobile budgeting, and mobile phones are really linear in their performance too. So as you start, like, literally on a low end phone, 2 million triangles will run at half the speed of 1 million triangles. So it's like very predictable what sort of performance you're going to get, even if you're working on PC or Mac or in studio. You can look at those numbers and have a very good idea before you even get it on device how it's going to perform, because you're like, well, I can see I'm way over budget here, so it's gonna run poorly. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you for answering my question. That was really informative. Thank you.
Well, I mean, I have more to go. I can talk about this stuff all day.
Yeah, the main thing. I love optimizing. I love everything optimizing. I love it. I take notes on it.
I can confirm that. Rice is a very heavy.
He'll get down to the nitty gritty numbers. Like he'll do multiple
nitty gritty numbers. I will count each triangle on each model, do math, see how many like triangles I can save and stuff. But when you had confirmed to me that it is based on the triangles that the player is actually looking at, and not just the triangles that are in the whole entire game, I knew it because I didn't look it up and stuff. I didn't know like where to really. So you confirmed that for me.
If you hit Control Shift F2, you get the rendering stats up, right? The one you really care about there is draw in brackets scene.
Draw in brackets scene.
Oh yeah.
It's about.
Hey, as an environmental designer, this is very useful information for me too.
Yeah. So the first number is your draw calls, which should be about 600 or so at the moment in this room.
Yeah.
And you're at about 500,000 triangles. So probably a whole bunch of that's being soaked up by our character models, but you have to budget for that as well. So the reason you don't care about the other numbers like shadow and stuff like that usually is because if you optimize with graphics mode 10, like you turn your graphics up as high as they can go, and then you budget for that to run as well as you can, with the understanding that users with really terrible devices, they'll just turn the graphics quality down anyway. And so all of the stuff you're spending on things like shadows and depth for post-processing and stuff like that, that'll all get removed when people go down to graphics quality 1. Mm-hmm. So you just care about the scene budget. That's the thing you have to focus on and optimize there. The other numbers don't matter.
This is beautiful information, man. Oh my god.
Do you have a plugin that helps with stuff like that? Like this?
I'm sorry?
Do you have like a plugin that you have that helps with this? Like is it like a visual representation that you could have like in studio while you're building, or?
Yeah, I actually have as part of the tools that I just released. So I did an experiment recently where I well, not an experiment. I release some commercial software on Roblox. I don't think anybody's ever tried to release a big professional SDK on Roblox before. So I put the price way up there in the clouds, and I put it on the marketplace, and it's actually sold pretty well. A bunch of top-end games have purchased it because it does stuff like help them budget this stuff out. So one of the tools in it is called Heat Map, and it shows you the draw calls in your scene as a heat map, like Predator Vision.
Yeah.
So you can move the camera to where you want in your scene, and you can see, okay, well, this scene is made up of 600 draw calls. And you hit the button, and it goes fit, 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 and goes and colors the scene in, and shows you where the concentration of draw calls is. And you're like, oh, there's some red hot spots over here, and then you mouse over them, and it explains why that part of the scene is using up so many draw calls. But I mean, the rules behind draw calls is pretty simple, really. Though it's like every time you force the engine to change material, your draw calls go up. And there's some things that are really, really bad about that, like decals and texture instances are the two big culprits. Particle systems all use one each. Surface GUIs all use one draw call each at least. Just things like that, you know. Like there's I have an optimization guide hanging around that basically lists off the best things to use to build a scene with versus the worst, and what sort of performance you can expect from it.
This is the holy grail of information right now that you are providing to us 3D rendering folk. Like,
oh yeah,
thank you so much.
Like,
Like,
actually
oh my
have to
goodness.
throw up some images on the conveniently placed screen right behind you later. Maybe we can show off some of these guys' work so you can see that they'll definitely get use out of this, knowing this as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
Hopefully it can be useful.
so I have a question for you, Mr. Chicken Rocket. So a lot of us in this room are young adults, and we kind of just passed that threshold of like we were developing during our childhood, and now we have like a lot of other responsibilities that we have to manage. So I have a question. How was your childhood like in terms of doing stuff online and just being around the computer, and how did that transfer into your adult life? Like, how were you able to manage two things at once?
This is going to be depressing for you guys, hey, because I didn't actually get the internet until I'd moved out of home at like 19 or 20 years of age.
Sheesh.
Wow.
That's crazy.
I mean, because the internet really didn't become publicly available or cheaply available until 1998, 1999, which is about when I was 19. So a lot of what I was doing to learn how to program was literally stuff like libraries and things like that, and it was all very limited access to things.
I have a question. So my computer tech teacher at school, we do a little trade course thing at school where you kind of go to trade school half the day, but he did he's an electrician by trade. It's a big joke, but anyways, he had done a lot of like computer, I guess, programming back in the day, you know, and during his like college age, and he always talks about this one thing, linked lists. And I want to know if you ever did linked lists. I just find it.
Oh yeah, I did linked lists.
I feel like it's a big bit with him, and I just can't get over it.
Well, the thing is with linked lists is it's kind of like doing all of that computer science stuff, which like linked lists is one of the modules in comp sci that you do in university. It's part of algorithms. Is that it's a good microcosm for a lot of software development in general. It's like you're making trade-offs between performance and usability, and it's like, okay, and it all depends upon the type of data that you're actually using. Nowadays, you don't have to think about that stuff as much, because when you only have a small number of things to deal with in a program, like we've only got like 50 players and a map with 100,000 parts in it and stuff like this. These aren't terribly big numbers to the point where it doesn't matter if you're using a linked list or a normal list or whatever to deal with things. It's like all their performance at that sort of scale on even mediocre phones is all pretty much the same. So it's not that big a deal as it used to be when we were dealing with computers that had like 33 megahertz total.
Yeah, so it was more of like a constraint of the actual hardware then that you would really want to.
Yeah, you had to work harder to get the same results back
Yeah.
then. Basically, you had to
Now
put more
everyone has
work
a-
into
has
your
a computer
structures
with,
and
like,
algorithms.
Yeah, everyone has like specs that you don't have to worry about, like the very minimal like level stuff. You don't have to worry about like typing binary anymore. Like back in the day they'd press ones and zeros all day. I guess maybe that's a little bit of Hollywood. I don't know if they actually did that entirely, but
No.
regardless, like things have become so streamlined nowadays with technology and computer speeds and all these new graphics cards and new CPUs and all this stuff coming out that having to work at that level isn't really an issue anymore.
Well, it's kind of like it's probably going to be really interesting to note that gameplay code today isn't really that different than gameplay code even 20-25 years ago. Like if you go and read the source code of something like id Software's Doom from 1993 or 1994, it looks like the same sort of stuff that's in like a modern game that came out last year. It's just like objects have position vectors and they do collision detection and we cast rays for bullets. It's all exactly the same junk that we were doing 20-30 years ago. It hasn't really changed all of that much. What really changed is how much effort you have to go through to make that work. Like Doom uses not just linked lists, but it uses all sorts of very tricky algorithms to basically make things like collision detection work well or the rendering work well. Whereas we don't have to work nearly that hard anymore to get that kind of performance.
Yeah.
For those reasons you were saying.
They had to squeeze every ounce of any byte they could possibly get. I think it's crazy. You think back to NES consoles, like 8-bit consoles, like how much of a game they could put on such a small file size essentially, which is insane.
I mean, I love all that old hardware. It was super cool how they did things. The big limitation on those machines was, funnily enough, RAM. They didn't have enough memory to have a back buffer, so it was all about, well, we don't have enough memory to store a full image of the screen, so we basically have to feed pixels to the TV one line at a time as the image gets scanned in. And it's like pretty crazy stuff.
And it was very interesting once they started to develop 3D for games too. The way they did it using just completely 2D images and just
I still find that so fascinating how that works.
Yeah, the illusion of depth. Whoever first discovered that, it's very interesting. I like that.
Hey, let's transfer to your projects, Mr. ChickenRocket. I know for a fact that many of us has played not just Fruit Ninja, but Candy Crush, which was my mother's favorite game back in the day.
Oh yeah?
Actually, matter of fact, I do have a question. Is it? She got to, I think, 176, the level cap. But she said there was no end in sight. Is it indeed endless? Asking for her at this point.
No, it's not. It's not endless. Okay, so just to clarify my role at King, I was over there working on their engine team, which is, funnily enough, a fairly similar to Roblox kind of setup, where they have an engine team developing a platform, and then a bunch of game teams use that engine to push out builds of their game. And so Candy Crush was one of the games that was using that tooling. The Candy Crush itself has, I think, somewhere around 2,500 levels.
That
It wasn't even nearly close.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's at the cap of one choice.
Bro, My aunt in Jamaica, I touched her phone the other day, right? And I was like, let's check out Candy Crush because that was like the only game she had on her phone, bro. 1,127. I was like, yo, like,
When I was younger, I had no patience. Like
And that's
50.
something that like older generations like to get on us on. But they like really
they
don't
love
realize how
Candy
much,
Crush.
yeah, they really don't realize how much time they themselves spend on like mobile games and whatnot. But it's like, yeah, that's interesting.
All right, I have a general question for everyone here, and I want like everybody's input on it. So we have somebody who is very experienced with working in teams, obviously, right? And CATMOB is essentially a team. So I just want to ask everybody's experiences with working in teams, whether it be development or in school, whatever. But like, what makes a good team, and what are some experiences you had working with other people that you can kind of take away and share it with like everyone, so we can kind of get better as working in a team. So I mean, I'll start. So funnily enough, early on in my development career on Roblox, whenever I would be invited to work on a team, it didn't seem super organized from the jump. However, the end goal seemed like everyone knew what they were supposed to be doing, in the sense of like, oh, we need to make a Dragon Ball Z game, and this is your role, this is your role, that's your role, and you kind of just have to keep working, right? And that's kind of the structure that a lot of the teams I've experienced and I've been on had. Like, there was really no structure to it, right? Um yeah, and eventually, like, maybe I say 3 days max, like it would honestly just like fall apart, and it would happen over and over and over again. So like, I think if everyone's on the same page and you have a track record with the people that you're working with, it goes a longer way. But yeah, anybody else have anything to share?
Yeah.
Wait, yeah,
You
let
could
me
go
just go.
first.
Yeah, let me go first. Yeah. So honestly, I think my personal experience, I've been working, I wouldn't say completely solo, but like not really on large. Like every project I've really worked on up until now, I was pretty much the only scripter. Like, and I maybe work with like a builder or someone else, right? And I do think it's one of the biggest downfalls of working on a team. If you don't have this, is like organization. That's how things really start to fall apart, because then it becomes like people are conflicting. Like, let's say code, for example. Like, oh, I was gonna do this. Oh no, I was gonna do this, and that's just how things start to fall apart. And I think that's kind of what like scared me, because when I first started working on Roblox, um, like my first, I guess, like sort of big project, um, it was like 6 scripters or something crazy like that, and we were all like beginners, and yeah, it didn't even a lot. I don't even think we like did anything. And I think working on a team is something I do want to get better at, working with other scripters. But I do think the biggest thing is like getting an organized workflow and knowing how others work, so that you're not conflicting with each other and things work more efficiently, pretty much.
Yeah, and here on Roblox, we're still in like the very early stages of like it becoming like a very big, organized, almost corporate thing. So a lot of teams on Roblox are like amateur, not only in the way they're set up, um, and they're usually this is how it happens. Someone has a vision, and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna spend all of my time trying to build a group of people to help me complete this vision. And then after they like get their group of people, they usually back off. Like, there are a lot of teams I know that where the owner has less and less involvement the more people they get. So they try their hardest to get a high amount of people. And it's a very interesting way of doing things. And sometimes it works, but it really is a risk. But yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, worked with teams all the way from 1 or 2 people teams all the way up to multiple hundreds or thousands if you consider
Sheesh.
engineering as a whole profession.
It's crazy.
And probably the one defining factor that I see across successful teams versus unsuccessful teams is mostly around good communication, right? And
Right.
it sounds really obvious, but
That's big.
there's so many aspects to that people make entire careers out of being good communicators, and we give them job titles like producers and product owners and stuff like that. But really their job is I am a communicator, and I facilitate communication, and I help people make good decisions, and I help people understand what's going on. And it's like there's a reason that's a paid role, because it's so important to be able to do that well. My advice for small teams, and especially when you're starting out and you're working with other people, is make sure your own communication is as good as it can possibly be. So little tips for that is stuff like make sure that everybody knows what you're working on. It's just simple as that. It's like it's a great place to start. It's like, I am currently working on this at the moment, and here are my plans for it as the second step. And then as you're completing things and as you're working on things, share screenshots and updates, like don't go dark. Let people know that you're continuing to work on it.
I'd like to talk about something that we've been using recently, and this is not a paid sponsor. I wish it was, but the website called Milano. And I know a lot of these guys have been using it for some of their projects, and I've been using it myself for some of mine. And being able to have all that organization, having laid out to-do lists, as well as like, say progress photos, or I'm sure you know what Trello is. Like imagine like a more hands-on version of Trello where you can freely arrange things on like a whiteboard essentially. And I think all of us have found good use out of that, which is probably the first step in keeping that organization and communication down.
Yeah. I mean, even that's even more advanced than what you need at a bare minimum, though, right? Like at a bare minimum, even just these days, I see a lot of teams just working in Discord. But if you can just be like, "Hey, I'm online, I'm going offline for the day," like let people know as you're coming and going, and then let people know, "Hey, here's what I worked on yesterday," or "Here's my current progress," or "Here's what I'm about to do," so that I don't wreck things for other people, so two people don't collide. And it's just so useful in terms of building camaraderie in the team too, right? Like, so keeps everybody engaged. And you can very quickly, when you have a team doing this, you can very quickly identify people who are not actively engaged with the project versus the people who are.
Yeah, that's actually a great way to put it. And actually, you're hitting the nail on the head. That's how I know like you're a veteran, because recently actually, so there's this game on Roblox. It's called Rooftop Basketball 2, and I work on it with Ed. And it was really just me and him, and we were outsourcing for a while, and we needed to get an update ready. And I told him, I was like, look, we need to do this, but I'm not always going to be able to be in the VCs to talk to you about what's going on, and we got to communicate more in terms of like what we actually need done. Like we need to see it. I think visualizing something is very important when it comes to teamwork. So with Milanote, it literally tracks, like you can make a taskbar and it tracks, like if you check it off, your percentage of how much you need to go to complete it fully. But the way I made the workflow is like anytime I would complete something, like say I made a new animation, like a dunking animation, I would literally like take a screenshot of it or a video capture, and I post it in there so that even if I don't talk to Ed for maybe like 4 days or whatever the time period may be, if he just hops on and sees like, oh, so he's really been working the time I was gone. And I feel like that is what every team should have. Like they should have a system where everybody can show what they're working on without communicating at all.
Yeah.
So that like that's what makes it really autonomous. It's like, okay, if I can sit here in complete silence and I see the checklist that everybody has to do and I agree with it, I already came to terms with it, and theoretically speaking, if I complete my task and everybody completes theirs, then the game will become what it's supposed to become. then I don't have to talk to everybody or anybody, because that's how bigger teams work, right? Chicken, like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, like big games, big studios. Like I'm imagining like GTA or something. I'm pretty sure some of those employees and developers don't know each other at all. You know, they're just going based off of their own checklist. So that's kind of the system that I've been following lately, and it works. It actually works.
Yeah,
Ed, can you agree?
That's what CAT stands for. Complete a task.
Yeah.
And
it's
I can. Oh wait, real quick. I can definitely agree, and I am guilty of being in the past of just trying to wing stuff without just keeping it in my head or whatever, or maybe like making like one channel and just putting like a bunch of text. And that is my advice to definitely anyone watching or anyone who's gonna watch, especially working on like a bigger project. It's worth putting in like the extra couple minutes or hours making like use something like Milano or just organizing yourself, because it's really going to go a long way when it comes to like making sure everything gets done on whatever you're working on. And that's one thing I've learned, definitely.
And it's funny you say all that, because I've worked with a few like really, really big studios who I'm not gonna name any, but that just gets swept, like really big Roblox studios, and that just gets swept under the rug. It's almost as if like every approach they do to every project that they end up doing just becomes one big rustic mess, because they completely lack communication and completely lack organization.
I would like to let me join the game. I would like to talk about one of my working on something, like more popular. I don't know if you know him, Mr. Chicken Robot, but there's this guy named Guy Idol, and he's made a couple, big games. And I've worked for him before, and working with him was very, very difficult because he was very, very bad at communicating, and he would. This guy named Guy Idol, he's made a couple of Roblox. Yeah, and
I've seen his name around. I don't know him.
Yeah, but he basically asked me to do something in the most vague way possible, and I do exactly what I was told, and then he would tell me I did it wrong, or tell me it sucked, and then tell me to redo it. And then also, was very bad at paying me. So.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I'd like to. I mean, that's always a fun conversation, right? Like, what are the red flags you'll look for when you're picking up contract work?
Oh, when they themselves don't know what they want, because then they're expecting you to, like before they even end up hiring you, and before you even know what you need to do, they themselves expect you to come up with some sort of price for yourself, even though you have no idea what's going on.
Speaking of that, how like pricing, I mean, it's going a little bit away from the original, I guess, topic.
That's cool. We go wherever.
Yeah, it's kind of kind of the cool thing about podcasts, just kind of go wherever it takes, takes you. But speaking of like pricing, not naming names of studios or whatever, but I know you saw my tweet about how I was like, a little annoyed that these scalper companies essentially, giving me like ridiculous offers for my game or whatever. And your reply to my tweet really stood out to me, because you said something along the lines of they want to see your revenue so then they can give you like 6 months worth of revenue, when then after they're just going to take it and make way more or whatever. And that's exactly what a couple of them did. They they came up to me like, oh, can I see your revenue? And I would tell them like, why do you need to see my revenue? You're the one that came to me like offering to buy my game. Like, if you want to see my revenue, that just tells me that you're just kind of gonna try to lowball me and just try to match your price with my revenue.
That's exactly what they do, because they just see it as a spreadsheet, right?
Yeah.
It's like the exact because I got to talking with one of these guys one time, and he was perfectly candid about what their business model is, which is, we know that a game will drop off after about 8 to 10 months. We can maybe keep it going for a full year, but these games that they buy, they pump them full of game passes, which they know sell. essentially just trashing any sort of in-game economy or player base. It's like you can buy game passes to ruin things for everybody, and then they buy them for as cheap as they can get them, and so they offer about 6 months worth of revenue on what the game's currently doing, knowing that they can probably double or triple that revenue per user, and then they sell it out. So for them, it's equivalent to
Like a used car.
Yeah, I mean, or more like it's a cheap investment for them. You know, like very low risk, because the overall purchase that they're asking for isn't very much, right?
Mhm.
And then they can make double or triple or 4 times their money back on it over a year, and then they can sell it again themselves at the end of it.
And they just keep
Find
buying
somebody
more
else
and
to
more
palm it off
games.
onto.
I saw
Yeah, like
one
they
of these
don't
companies
care
that-
about games. They're not
Yeah.
publishers or
one of these
anything.
companies that reached out to me, like they sent me their website, and it was just a bunch of just cash grab simulators, just dozens and dozens of them, like the same stuff, just essentially looks like it was copy and pasted every single time with all the buzzwords in the thumbnail, like whatever simulator have all these like rainbow icons and stuff. And I'm just sitting here thinking, if they get my game, if they were to actually buy my game off me, if I sold it to them, then my game would just end up like these. And why, I don't believe my game is in the same, level of those games, because those games were meant to make money. Obviously, I want to make games to make money. I want this to be my whole career, but I value myself high enough where I don't want to just sell out and have it thrown in the rest of this like cesspit full of other really generic, essentially copy pasted simulators and stuff along that line, like those lines.
You'll make more money doing that than selling.
Yeah, and that's like just the fact that there's so many people who've like told me like, or even like realizing that myself early on, the fact that people come to me with these like offers, in the tens of thousands of dollars, which seems like a lot to me. Like I could take that money and then go buy a car or something like outright.
Yeah.
Can
I add something real quick?
Yeah. Go ahead.
And to us, young adults,
that is a lot of money.
A figure like 10,000, like it like triggers something in our mind, because we're like, oh wow, I've never seen that amount of money before in my life. And then and that's really I feel like that could be a way to exploit younger developers, because then they could just be like, oh wow, that's an amazing offer, I'll take it. Which is why usually when I get offers for commissions, I usually go and talk to my mother, who's a software engineer, and my auntie about said commission that I get. And then they're and they usually give me some a smack on the wrist response, don't undervalue yourself, but also don't they really don't want me getting exploited by any of this. So they usually give me really good advice, and I feel like that's something that a lot of younger developers should do. Find someone that's older to consult.
Oh yeah.
Before getting yourself.
I'd like to add on to that too, just in general about people underselling themselves, and I've seen it. One of the most prominent areas I've seen it is specifically on Roblox artists TikTok. If you've ever been on TikTok and seen these people who make Roblox inspired arts, or art, they'll draw people's Roblox avatars or whatever, or make Roblox blocky art. It's always really, really good, super high quality. Sometimes they spend a dozen hours on a single piece of artwork or whatever. But you always see them making their prices so dirt cheap, like $5, $10 for an artwork that probably took them, half, if not a day to complete. Sometimes, even longer. And it's not even about bigger companies or corporations coming to them and saying, oh, here's a really lowball offer, we want your work. It's not even that. It's the peer-to-peer connection, the peer-to-peer level, that these people who don't really have that much money, you say people teenagers, anywhere from 13 to 17, whatever, these people who don't have that kind of money to just throw $100 at a commission that is probably worth $100, for example. But they're like, oh, make your prices cheaper, nobody's gonna buy it. And sure, if you make it really cheap, people are gonna buy it. But at that point, you're making dozens and dozens of pieces of art for people for so cheap that if you actually price yourself according to how much work and effort you're putting in and actually raise the standard, then you could make that much money off of 1 or 2 pieces of art. And it's such a toxic culture where people have just manipulated other people their age into undervaluing themselves and really kind of crushing their dreams essentially. Because you can't make a living making stuff that cheap.
I have another experience to talk about. Back when I was like with the whole exploitation of, basically children on Roblox when it comes to deving. Back when I was around I think 13, this guy wanted me to make an entire Harry Potter wand system for him for I think 100 Robux, if not 1,000. And I thought that was a really good price, so I did it. And now that I think of it, I spent a good week on it, and it was not worth 1,000 Robux.
I have a similar story, not dev related, but just to put into perspective, when you're so young, you don't realize how much stuff is actually worth. So any number that's above 2 digits seems like a lot of money to you. You guys are probably familiar with the super happy face, the limited face. It's what, 150,000, 200,000, something in that ballpark now. I bought it when it came out, the day it came out. I was probably I don't know, 13, something like that, 12, 13. I don't remember exactly the year. But I bought it when it came out. It was 100 Robux. I set a couple years later, or a year later or something, not even Robux, because it plateaued for a while, and 3,000 Robux is more money than I've ever seen in my entirety of ever playing Roblox. So I decided to sell it, got 3,000 Robux, and I was like, oh wow, this feels pretty cool. But now seeing me as a kid being so naive to the actual value of something, especially just wanting to sell something on impulse because I realize there's money in it, when I don't
However,
Wait,
it's easier to
Peter,
say that.
Peter.
It's easier to say that in retrospect when
yeah, it is.
you've seen what it is now. So I feel like in that case it's fine because it's just a gamble, it's a risk. I mean
it's
you
more so
can
just to
see
show,
something,
the naivety of children,
but
I guess.
I wouldn't necessarily call it naive because it's an item that can go down in value. I've definitely had I've had some limiteds. I had a branch limited, right? And eventually I got scammed out of it, if I'm being honest. But
Yikes.
the funny part about it, when I traded it away, the value was really high at one point. And by the time I was gonna buy it back, it was so low. I was like, yeah, there's no point in it anymore. So it's that had the same chances of doing the same as my branches, your face. So I feel that's not a example of naivety. I just think it's,
I guess it's more so that people don't understand the value of it, and it's when you get older. And
also,
I mean, I see it a lot.
Mr. Chicken, you I think you DC'd.
Yeah, you DC'd.
I just
looked
over and he's
oh
gone.
jeez, I did, yeah. I'm still here. I'll hit
The guest is
reconnect.
gone. The guest is gone.
Too much talk of Roblox Limiteds. I'm out.
That was a little off topic, but I feel like it's a good point for any young developers watching this stream.
I'll come back down here. Yep.
You always need to make sure you really put thought into it. Ask someone more mature, wiser. Because
I get asked about this a lot actually. People trying to figure out how to land work more or less, and how to price themselves appropriately.
I struggle
for
with pricing myself sometimes, but then again, you kind of have to hold your ground because the people essentially. Long story short, the people who want your work are going to, are willing to pay whatever amount of money it takes. So obviously there's going to be so many people who can't afford your work, and that's fine. That's not your target audience. If you're really trying to do it seriously, if you're trying to make, decent money off of it and actually value your work appropriately, then the people who really want that work will pay that amount of money for it.
Yeah, that's why I think maintaining your portfolio is super important, when especially when you're contracting or taking commissions and stuff, because it makes it very, very easy to justify your pricing when people can see, well, this is what I do, and so this is why I charge X per hour or X per item.
Mm-hmm.
And then that portfolio does your and that price list does your negotiations for you.
Mm-hmm.
You're not having to sit there and have personal conversations with people where you're both kind of playing chicken for who's going to make an offer first or anything like that. It's no, this is what I do.
I think
here's how much it costs.
I think a good rule of thumb when pricing your whatever you're selling, like your trade, I think you should take into perspective your lifestyle. Like, if I know that $20 to me is gonna be absolutely nothing, and I'm spending a lot of hours on this, then I'm paying myself for my time, and I know what the outcome of what I'm using the money for. So, like, for example, like I do photography, right? Like in real life. And when I was a beginner, I was really young. I was like probably around 12, 13. And I didn't want to work for any gigs because I was just starting out and I wanted to learn how to use the camera first. But once I got to the point where I could start selling my work, I charged super low, but also I was a kid. So $100 to me was like the world, you know? So I didn't really mind because I wasn't going to do anything else with my time. So I feel like whenever you're pricing your work, you also have to take into consideration your expenses, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, people, if you don't have if you don't have proof that you can do what you're going to do,
Yeah.
right? Like, you're still proving who you are and proving the quality of your work and proving what you like to work with. If you don't have that kind of reputation, if you don't have that behind you, then you offer less to be able to get the work
Exactly.
in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And
You basically price yourself into the market to start with.
yeah, and for example, for environmental design, starting off, it was mostly I had to get the experience first. So it was very useful that I found a group of friends and we just, started like a project, and we were all like really cool and just down to just work on it for however long possible. And then I used that first initial work, which it was, if I'm being honest, pretty bad. I would I joined just various random discords, and I actually like I scouted out for games that didn't like have like not like very good maps. And so I would try and find something that I could do better to try and get jobs starting
That's
off.
great advice.
You said what?
That's great advice. I mean,
Yeah.
I have a friend who got into film and movie prop making late in his life. He was like 40, and he went from basically working in cafes and restaurants and said, "You know what? I'm gonna go get a job making film and movie props." And he didn't even know where to start, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what he did is he went out into his shed and he sat there and he figured out how to make what they do, and then went down with a duffel bag full of his stuff one day and went down to an actual Fox Studios prop lot, found a guy and said, "Can I show you what I've been making?"
Yeah, and that's another thing too, is us like in the creative industry, which we're all creatives. Something as simple as making some really cool stuff and then just talking to people. Like I can't express how important it is just talking to people, because I've met so many like really, really big developers that I've eventually got to like work with just talking to them. Like just at first, hey, I'm making some cool stuff. You want to check it out? And they're like, sure. And then you just show your stuff. Not to like solicit anything, but just to like have a human connection.
Oh yeah,
with that
connections
person.
are
And then
insanely important. You know, like I've not always. Well, I've worked with MrChickenRocket before, but you know, I guess in that time frame we've known each other, I feel like it's been more of a friendship than anything. You know, we'll talk once in a blue moon, I guess. But
yeah,
even then, like, you know, I
really like the stuff you make, so it's really easy.
You know, I started out doing work for him or whatever. But even then, like, not every relationship you have with somebody needs to be entirely work focused, or just because this person is successful or yada yada yada. Like, it's good to just connect with people on that human to human like level, and then, you know, if it leads into work, then that's great, or whatever else it leads to. Like, there's so many opportunities I've had just, you know, talking to people, and that's something I've been trying to do a lot more recently. It's just, you know, reach out to people, just make those connections.
Yeah, and going back to what Mr. Chicken Rocket said about the prop designer, like stuff like that, like maybe going to a convention or in Discord terms, for like our generation of people, like join communities. Like
Oh yeah,
you'll be
it's so
surprised
easy to
who
just
you
join a
meet.
community.
Yeah,
Niche that you're
you'll
in.
be yeah, you'll be surprised who you meet. There are a couple like dev communities here on Roblox. I don't really like them anymore. I'm not gonna
I feel
say
like
any
some of the
names
bigger
though.
ones, yeah, some
Hold
of the
on.
bigger ones can be a little
Hold
iffy
on.
because there's like so many people. But if you really
Yeah.
find those niche communities, like then you're really gonna find people you connect with. One of them, a community I partook in a lot, like I think it was like last year, maybe the year before, was the retro dev community. If you guys know like Retro Studio, that game. But yeah, I was pretty active in there, and I still know a lot of great people from that community, even if I'm not active like in the community anymore. I made those connections, and you know, I did I contributed a little, you know, I did whatever, but like even just having those connections still, you know.
I mean, speaking about how people got started, it's kind of unfair that we didn't ask Mr. Chicken Robot. How did you get started? I know you're on record to be quoted. You said yourself that the internet wasn't a thing until like when you were like 19, leaving whatever. But how did you get into the gaming space? Why did you choose
Well,
the
do you want
gaming
to?
space?
Okay, life story.
Oh, I'd love to.
I had a Commodore 64 as a kid, right? Like,
Oh, okay.
I do
came
not
out
know
when-
what that is.
If you know,
Okay,
you
so it's an old 8-bit machine. It was a piece of it was essentially a Nintendo Entertainment System with a keyboard on it. It was equivalent of what the hardware was, right? Like, and
I can imagine that. Yeah.
it had no real permanent storage. You had to store stuff on tape or on discs, and then the way you did software development for it is it literally, when you turn the machine on, it fired up into having a terminal that you could type basic programs directly into and run them. And that's how you communicated with the computer.
So you
It didn't
did
have like
everything the hard way.
well, no, not really. I mean, this is much more modern than the generations that came before me, which is like punch cards and stuff like that. This was modern home computing when this thing came out. So it was like having a DOS only computer, pretty much. But they used to have listings for games in magazines back then. So you would literally go to the shop and buy a magazine, and it'd be Commodore 64 monthly, and then they have a listing for a little game that you could type in line by line and then run the thing, and you'd have a new little Pac-Man game or something like that on your computer, and you'd also be learning how to program at the same time. So I was like a 10-year-old kid doing this, and so that's sort of what got me interested in doing gaming.
That's a bit how it was for me. Obviously, you know, not with like a Commodore 64, but I was introduced in programming or just, you know, game development in general with Scratch, and that was, you know, I feel like it's pretty popular as a way when people got started out, but that was really my introduction into it. So in some regards, obviously the technology was a lot different, but it was sort of a similar thing where it was sort of that gateway into the whole space.
Yeah, I've taught kids Scratch. Like, I go and give classes once a year or so, where I'll take 30 kids and we'll go and make ultra-violent Scratch games with blood and gore, and they love the heck out of it. It's amazing.
Trust me, I've done that before. Who hasn't made a bit of a violent Scratch game, taking that?
Yeah, and the other teachers were all horrified, and I'm like, and here's how you rip Mario's spine out, and we're going to do blood particles. And
What's your
the kids
what's
are
your favorite,
so engaged.
What's your favorite genre of games?
Me personally,
Yeah.
I'm like the most basic bitch ever. I love Zelda games and stuff like that. Action
Yes,
adventure.
sir. Hey, Ricey.
Okay.
Ricey.
Zelda games.
Did you
He's
play
like
the
us.
new one that came out?
Yeah, here.
Yeah, of course I have. I don't really like them. I don't really like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom.
Take a look at
I've
that.
played them. Oh, what's this? Oh, it's the Commodore.
Roblox. Oh my god.
That's the Commodore 64 for those who don't know.
Oh yeah, that thing's. People still write software for that. It's a bit of a it was a bit of a hidden secrets machine. So people are still figuring out ways to squeeze new performance and new graphical tricks out of it.
Yeah, I remember recently I saw a video of I forget who made it. It was a YouTuber, and he did a video on coding Snake on like old hardware. I forget what it was, but he basically made Snake on some old Apple machine. I forget which one exactly. But it was very interesting seeing.
Yeah,
Like they had literal books of everything. Like, you know, it wasn't really documented online because it wasn't really internet back then. But like having this actual like, you know, physical textbook that would or multiple like books that would come with the computer, or you have to like buy them separately, whatever. It's very interesting.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because with Mr. Rocket, would you agree that with systems like this, there's like a set of like maybe 5 to 10 games that are just like the basic thing you could end up programming on it, like things like Snake, Pong, and whatnot, like just a group of simple games that like everybody knows that, yeah.
Well, there's a lot of parallels, I think, because back then, even the professional games, the top-end games coming out on the Commodore 64, and there's a whole bunch of similar consoles or similar machines around the time. One person, maybe 2 people, developing the whole game, developing it in a couple of months, and then shipping it. Because the machine was limited, and the ability of what you could build was pretty limited. So the creative space, like the vertigo for, I could build a AAA blockbuster that like needs 300 people to do it. It's like there wasn't any room on that machine to build something like that. So in a lot of ways, it mirrors Roblox as it is now. You know, like this, you can build a successful game on this platform with 1 or 2 developers, and you can kind of live that indie lifestyle that used to exist back then.
Yeah.
And that's sort of a big thing that attracted me to this platform. Is like my kids showed me it, right? They were playing Bee Swarm Simulator, and they were showing me that like these dev teams of 1 or 2 people were making really successful projects.
Yeah, and
I'll give it a poke. I'll give it a look.
It's funny you say that because so my mother, she's a software engineer. She does like usually a lot of back end stuff on all types of things, like literally anything software related. And she recently got into because she's really into like the metaverse scene and all of this stuff. So she recently got into this metaverse called Spatial, and she was learning Unity, and she would like call me downstairs like every 10 minutes, like, how do you do this? Or my model is blah 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 blah. And then she saw that Roblox was gonna be on the Meta Quest. And then she then considered the fact that, hey, wow, I'm gonna have to learn this. So
Roblox gets a lot of things right, hey.
Yeah. So she now like she's gonna start getting into like Roblox and stuff now, just cause I would show her literally all my creations. My mom's like my best friend, and the person you show everything. So I show her all my creations and stuff. And it's really interesting you say that.
Rocket, real quick, Peter, I have a question for you. Speaking on like the good sides of Roblox, so obviously you have experience on and off Roblox, so I think it'd be good to get your insight on like what are the pros and cons on like developing a Roblox compared to like outside the platform, and would you even say like would you prefer Roblox over these other platforms, like if you were to recommend it to somebody?
Okay, so the big thing about Roblox is, right, the big win is you get to access a lot of markets and a lot of platforms. Well, when I say platforms, I think it's like Android, iPhone, tablets, Xbox, stuff like that. You get to access a lot of these things. Yeah, and VR eventually. And I think they're doing like a Switch build. I heard there was like a PlayStation thing coming. I don't know. Like there's a lot going on, right? In terms of you get access to customers and access to a huge amount of players very, very easily.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's one of the big.
You can go from an idea to. Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you're fine. But that's one of the big things that attracted me to Roblox. Like, because I grew up with Roblox. I've been playing since I was 7 years old, and I always wanted that creative outlet. But once I really saw like the potential of like when Roblox shifted into more of like a corporate, like actual sustainable, I guess, like thing where people could make their livings off of. Like people started making livings off of Roblox. Like I really started realizing like, wow, you can reach huge audiences so easily, just, you know, opposed to having to make like a Steam game where you have to push marketing on different platforms and worry about all this nitty gritty stuff. But Roblox basically streamlines it.
Yeah, I mean, in the mobile space, it's like a 2-week turnaround time for average developers to be able to say, I've made a change to my game and now I'd like to have it in customers' hands. Because you have to go through like a review process, and it's actually fairly involved to even make the build to begin with. It's not like even iterating on getting a build onto device or using something like Unity is like, you're looking at maybe a couple of builds per hour if you were iterating as fast as you possibly could. And a lot of that time staring at progress bars or doing multiple interactive things where you've got to like copy stuff from here to there and set that up and then hit this button and then wait
that's
for
one
that
of
to
the
build.
pros of Roblox, then, just having that ease of access,
That platform access and that iteration speed of like, and the fact that it is a mobile engine from the ground up is the other big thing that's astonishingly good with Roblox.
What are some of the
Speaking of
cons,
the Roblox platform, Mr. Chicken Rocket, do you have any games that you're playing currently on the platform? Anything
On
besides
Roblox?
that? Yeah.
Find Everything is what I'm really enjoying at the moment.
That's where we'll find you. Finding everything.
I don't know if you've played it, but
I've played it recently. I think it's one of those games on Roblox that they really did it for the passion. Like a bunch of great devs on that project, but
yeah.
Are you currently making any games on the platform?
I'm sorry?
I wanted to ask real quick. Are you currently making any games on the platform or thinking about?
I always have half a dozen little experiments or little things in progress at the moment at any one time. Kind of ADHD like that. Like I'll go and build
Oh my
a
god.
vertical slice of a yeah.
Yeah.
My graveyard for unfinished Roblox projects is about 60 or 70 deep at the moment.
Which is kind of interesting, actually. I'm actually glad you brought that up. So, as I was preparing for this podcast, MrChickenRocket, I came across an image that you posted, and I actually really enjoyed this image because it's real. Like, not a lot of people like to show like the real aspect of game development and all that. So if you can take a look at General real quick, does that image look familiar to you?
Let's have a look.
That you posted that a very long time ago on Twitter, a few years back, but it's kind of interesting that you brought it right back up because it shows you the truth. Like there's a graveyard with development. Like it never
work my magic real quick.
Can I say something real quick? And that's the thing about the tech industry in general, is people don't realize like how many failures you're going to have before you finally have a success. Like for anything tech related, whether albeit game design, software engineering, programming, and like anything tech related, people like never truly grasp that. And that's something that discourages some people when they come into the broader tech industry. Like they're not really prepared for like to fail. They're not prepared to fail a lot. Yeah.
I think that's why it's so valuable. Okay, sorry, words hard. It's so valuable to be able to prove that you can finish things, or even anything. Getting anything shipped, any game shipped ever, like to a completed state, is a miracle. And it is such a valuable thing to have in your resume, because then you can because everybody has these unfinished projects, right? Everybody does the fun part, and then you have to go do the boring part, which is actually shipping the thing. And so that's why I have like 70 graveyard projects. It's like, because they're all just the fun part. They're all just the icing on the cake, and then it's like getting down to the boring bits. Is like, no, I don't care about that.
But speaking of your
graveyard too.
Speaking of your graveyard, I would like to like a twofold question actually.
please.
What is your favorite project that actually failed or never released? Like, what's your favorite out of it? And what's the project you're most proud of that did release? Like, out of all the things you worked on.
So, what is the thing that didn't release that I like the most?
Yes,
I was working on a game with a bunch of YouTubers.
Is that the one I was on too?
Yes. Yeah, that was super cool.
It
and
was
that,
very
that had a
cool.
lot of really,
Yeah, it was right at the peak of that.
a lot
one,
of
that
really good
trend, too.
ideas.
Yeah.
So how that started off is I went. This was right around when Fall Guys was popular for everybody, and I'm like, I could go and make a Fall Guys sort of platformer.
Hold on. Is Chance here?
He's
not.
deaf.
Sorry. He has to Three's look at your DMs.
Hold on. He said look at DMs. Got you.
Okay. Yeah, so we had this. So Fall Guys was a thing, and so I made a bunch of Fall Guys-y prototypes, and I was doing a pretty good job of it because a bunch of YouTubers saw my Twitter, which is again back to the communication thing. Try and share what you're working on. You know, like don't be secretive because you never know when this even just side ideas you're having like this. You never know when it'll come back and be useful. So they approached me and said, "We want to take this idea that you're having for a Fall Guys-y kind of thing on Roblox and blow it up into a bigger game. And we'll provide funding, and it'll be a big deal, and we'll be able to hire artists, and we'll have you go and build all the mechanics out and all of the software for it." And so we went and built something that had some really neat tech in it, and we started to get some really nice art in it. But as things happen, the funding for the project didn't work out, and so the project was using a bunch of licensed materials and assets. It has this awesome soundtrack built by Beastlick, and it's
I'm familiar with him.
Yeah, I love his music so much. I've gotten to hang out with him a few times.
That's nice.
One time, but chatted with him a bunch of times online too. Anyway, this music is in limbo because it was licensed for that project, and that project's dead, and it has a bunch of art that was built for it, and that project's dead. And I'd love to resurrect it at some point because there's a lot of cool things going on with it.
I'm down for that. I do remember one of my favorite things about the entire project. Maybe it seems a little silly, but I did love that plugin you made, where you could just place a camera, like a cutscene camera, right wherever your Roblox camera was. that was great.
Yeah.
That was incredible.
Yeah, that's ripped straight from Unity. A line part with Vue. It's like the first time I saw that in Unity, I'm like, I'm going to be using this forever. And I went and added it to Roblox too as a plugin. Yeah, and in terms of the ones that I released that I'm proud of, I worked with Easy Games on. We released a battle royale game called Rift.
Oh,
it was lots and lots of fun. Yeah, I built all the backend for Rift Royale. I built Chickenoid, which was the multiplayer system used for it. And
that's interesting.
Yeah, and I was
we know
working
some guys
on...
from Easy GG, right?
Yeah.
Some of us are friends with one of the programmers on that project, Brian 3838, I think. Pretty sure.
Oh yeah, Brian's a good dude.
So we get around a little. We're familiar with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was proud of that one, and also proud of Shovel Sim. Even though it never really took off, it was like it's a cool game. It has cool ideas, and is kind of pokes fun at everything a little bit, which I enjoyed immensely.
All right, Mr. Chicken, I have a few hypotheticals to kind of make this a little bit more fun and engaging for everyone. I want everyone at the table to give me a response. We kind of dabbled into this a few days ago when we were just, talking amongst ourselves. We had a question, or I had a question. I was like, what would you guys do if you woke up one day and Roblox ceased to exist? So I want everybody's input on this, but I guess I'll start it off. If I woke up one morning and Roblox didn't exist anymore, with the current situation that I'm in, I would honestly just it would feel okay. This is tough. It's tough. I don't think I would continue game development if I'm being honest. Like I wouldn't transfer it to any other studio. I mean, maybe somebody would, but I wouldn't, me personally, because I over familiarized myself with Roblox Studio, and I kind of put a lot of time into it. And I think I would just pick up computer science, like in my college, and photography, and I would kind of just run with that. But yeah, I don't think I would stick around in the development scheme at all. So anybody else can kind of give me their input.
Better just said
Also, after we're done with this topic, I have a question, very big question.
Hold on.
All right.
If no one else wants to go, then I guess I'll give my my 2 cents. But I've always told myself this doesn't work out. You know, I want to at least have a backup plan. I guess not always told myself, but I guess recently told myself this doesn't work out. Which I'm hoping it does. You know, I have another year of school, so very fortunate for that. That's a whole different story for another day. But for those who know, I was out of school due to medical reasons, so I'm kind of blessed in that sense, where you know I have so much more time where I don't have to worry about being shoved out into the real world yet. But you know, if worse comes to worse, then I have built this this huge portfolio over the years, I guess, with my different skills. You know, building, modeling, even now to like programming. Content creation, project management stuff, like all sorts of random stuff. So I'd be able to apply that elsewhere. There's a couple, like not like indie studios, but kind of between AAA and indie studios I've seen that have had my interest before. So those are always viable options, and I've talked to people from those studios as well, where they say they really do value portfolios and getting to see like actual evidence of you putting your best foot forward and doing that yourself, as opposed to just trying to go to college to get a good a degree. I'm sure for AAA companies, I'm sure a degree would look very good, but
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean it's both, right?
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I feel like it is both.
Like I was
Because
looking
everybody
at,
has a degree, so you have to be able to distinguish yourself in some way.
Yeah.
yeah, I was looking at the requirements for Naughty Dog, because I do aspire to be an environmental designer for them one day. But
Great studio.
yeah, yeah. And they actually they're not looking for college experience. They're looking for experience in the field. So did you work on a AAA title? And if so, did that AAA title end up becoming successful? That's more what they value. They value your work on a big project. And they have a very small group of environmental designers, at least, and all of them are very talented. So it's a very hard position to get into, because they really look for experience over like anything else.
Yeah, I mean I have this. I've given talks to students trying to get into the game industry before, and one of the thoughts that's been bouncing around in my head for an easy way to put this is, imagine two cavemen, and one of them want to ask the other caveman for a job, right? And it's like, what's the simplest way to tell if somebody can work for you? And it's like, do you do what we do?
Yeah.
And that's really what getting hired is all about. It's like, can you show that you do what we do? It's like, and so all of the things about needing training or learning or prior experience or anything like that all boils down to, this person needs to be able to evaluate if you can solve this problem for them that they have, whether it's building a thing or writing a thing or producing a thing. Can you do it? And so all of your schooling should either be divided into, I really want to learn how to do this thing, or I'm trying to prove that I can do this thing. And so that's what you should be looking to take away from your schooling. So you're either going to school to, I'm interested in this and I want to learn this for the sake of learning it, which is great if you can do it. But if you're going through an education because you need to get a job, then that's what you're trying to get out of it. And it's why I say things like group work, for example. Don't overcommit on your group work when you're in university, because it's hard to distinguish yourself with that. It's like you come out of it with a group piece that's possibly hugely overscoped, and I see it all of the time. And then as a at the end of it, you're left with something where it's really hard to distinguish or extract back out of it what it is that you did in that, which is what an employer needs to see. So
Yeah, it's very useful.
For me, I have not I wasn't planning on going to college, because I just thought maybe they just want kind of prove that you're able to do the work, and that's why I've been working on my portfolio, doing characters here and there.
Oh, did I just crash? Oh no. Chat. Oh. Okay, chat, my Discord just crashed. Hold on. Bear with me, guys. That was not fun. I'll have to watch the spot on Anthony's side to see what he said there, but
able to do it. So to have some idea of what your process is like, then yeah, that's how you set yourself up for success.
I'm back. My Discord just crashed. I hope I didn't miss that. It's a lot.
That happens to me.
Yeah. I guess
What's up, bud?
So for me, I think if Roblox were to disappear, I'd probably still continue programming, but not game development. I've always actually been interested in doing outside of game development stuff, maybe web development or and maybe not just working for a big company, but maybe even making my own let's say website, for example, just or maybe something I like to do music a lot, so maybe a website that will help with creating music or something like that. So I'll probably just look into things in that field, basically.
For me, it's back to web dev. I will need to go back to my old job, but that's just me though. But I would still pursue game development in any way, shape, or form.
I'll pull you into Unity, bad. I don't care.
It's also it's really good to have multiple skills.
Oh yeah.
I'm a music composer, and I'd love to in the future compose for games and film. And I feel if Roblox were to just disappear, I would definitely move just more into music composition and orchestration.
And I think it's definitely conversations like this are definitely important, because anything can definitely happen, especially with just the other day Roblox was down completely for a couple of hours. And
yeah,
but you probably remember a couple, was it last year or the year before, where it was down for 3 or 4 days, and
oh yeah,
Roblox snow days.
Yeah, the snow days. But it makes you think what if it was just to go down completely, what would happen? So I think it's definitely good to
that's what I was thinking about it.
And there is a end to everything. I'm sure that people. I used to play this game a long time ago called Superhero Squad Online. Oh my god, I loved the hell out of that game. And I'm sure for the people that were playing it up right until it shut down, it really did just seem like it disappeared out of nowhere. So there will be an end at some point to Roblox, but let's hope it's not very soon. Let's hope.
Just because, even with this hypothetical, if it did happen someday, say 10 years in the future, Roblox is just a fraction of what it used to be. People aren't making livings anymore, for example, which probably won't happen at the rate that Roblox has been, going up these last few years. But
you never know what'll come along next, right?
Yeah, say Roblox did crash. Just because it's the end of Roblox doesn't mean it's the end of us.
Yeah, because we are all everyone here. Creative as hell, and creatives always will have something to be creative for, because I've seen every single one of the developers in CATMOB, at least be creative in another field. And you, Mr. Chicken Rocket, you're really good at like multiple different like disciplines in areas in terms of like programming and stuff. And
Well, you have to be, right?
yeah,
So the bad news for everybody is that you're going to lose this platform at some point.
hmm
Maybe not in 5 years, maybe not in 10 years, but you're not going to have. There are going to be other platforms that come along, and the technology is going to change sufficiently over a long enough time frame that the stuff that you know now may not be super relevant in 10 years' time.
Yeah.
So the real trick is to stay on top of it.
hmm
Stay on top
Alright.
of everything. Stay curious. Always be learning new things, and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Adapt, overcome.
All right. I have my very important question. All right. So everybody lean in over the table.
Gotcha.
Lean in game. Come on. Come on. All right. I'm gonna need specifically Mr. Chicken Rocket's input on this. All right.
Mhm.
So you're in a small town, right? And there's a ball. It's a father-daughter ball.
Oh no.
So would you say
Oh my.
everybody and their mother is there, or everybody and their father is there? Think about that. Think about that.
All right, bro. So, right, you're 6. All right.
you.
So you're 6 years ago. You were born 10 years ago. How old are you?
Me, I was born 10 years ago. How old am I? I'd be 10, right?
Yeah, you know what? We're 6. So,
6.
No. I said 6 because I was 16 at the time. No, I said 7 or whatever. Anyways, but Mr. Chicken Rocket, would
Oh, we're doing
everybody
riddles. Oh, I get it.
would everybody and their mother be there, or everybody and their father be there?
what is bro on about?
Sorry, I'm confused.
Yeah,
What is
I
this about?
kind of get it. It's like,
Uh,
well, I don't know how mothers come into it. If it's like,
It's a father-daughter dance. So like people say like everybody and their mother is in like
Yo, bro.
like
Where
somewhere,
are the
right?
daughter dance?
Right. So
Talk
like
about
would everybody and their father be there, or everybody and their mother be there? Like what would you say
choose
if
the
you
first
walked?
one, but unless it's like a trick question or anything.
What is
Okay,
it?
all right.
Um,
It's not a trick question. All right, that's a nice response. That's a nice response.
That's it?
All right, yeah, that was the question.
Two
Okay.
men walk into a bar.
That's so confusing.
So
heard
a
it.
cat.
Why didn't the
I've heard
second one duck? Like the first guy, yeah, sure. But the second guy, he saw the first guy walk into that bar.
What if they walked in together at the same time?
Ah,
They were like looking at each other, like talking while they walk, and then they,
yeah, both hit. Yep.
So I have a question, like to put us back on track. So do you know anything about Roblox advertisements and sponsorships?
I do.
Now, can you speak on that? And anything, like this is very broad. This is a very general question. Can you speak on it as it's like? What is your opinion on it?
Okay, so first thing to give you a bit of backstory on this. I come from mobile, and so in the mobile space, the way this is all done is it's all called UA, or user acquisition, and it's how all of the top games in mobile work. Is they basically figure out a lifetime value of a user. Like if I have a user come to my game and install it, I can expect an average return of say $10 if I'm a successful game. Won't name names, but that's around the ballpark for the top 150 games on the App Store. Is that they're looking at lifetime values of $10 or more.
Mhm.
And then when you're looking at user acquisition, buying a user to come and play your game, and so be part of that average, costs around buying an ad. Like those top war ads that you see on YouTube and all of that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I have 10 minutes
They-
power.
Yeah, all of that stuff. They're paying about $10 or like margins of a few cents in profit on what they're actually getting back on those ads, which is why they slam so many of them and try so many different types and stuff like that. It's this whole multi-million-dollar machine where they're spending multiple times of the game's entire development budget per month on ads because they're making it back that entire amount of money plus 1% or 5% back in terms of revenue. So a game that I worked on a couple of years ago, after I was done with King, I was doing some contracting work. Their monthly spend on ads was about $12 million USD per month. And their profit margin was about $13 million USD. The entire game cost about $1.2 million is what they actually spent to develop this thing.
Sheesh.
And so there were actually banks getting involved, offering them huge loans because they could see how much they could make back per user with their lifetime value. And this was like JP Morgan Bank was offering them huge piles of cash because they could see what the profit margin was. And so in the top end of mobile gaming, it's all actually massive banks and massive investment firms funneling all of this money in for advertising because the margins are quite clean. You know, like we can make 5% or 10% back on our money and we could pull the lever on this every single month. That's how that's done. So the actual, yeah, exactly right. So the actual amount of cash flow in that industry is huge, but the margins are still pretty slim. In Roblox, the cost per user for a user acquisition is a couple of Robux, right? Like I think it's like at the moment it's 8 to 12 Robux or something. Like even if you do a pretty terrible job of it, getting a user to come and play your game. That's about what you're paying in terms of Robux. So like a few cents. But the problem is your lifetime value of a user in Roblox is really, really low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, it's already really low before you get into user acquisition. Like if the total amount of money that your game has ever made in terms of Robux and you divide it by the total number of plays you've ever had, if you're doing more than say like 4 Robux on that number, you're in the top few percentage of games. Most are less than that. So like 4 to 8, and you can sustain that. Okay, well you're starting to look at. You'd think that user acquisition would be a good proposition for you then, right? I'm going to pour all of the money we're making back into user acquisition, and I'm just going to skim 1 Robux per user off the top. It feels like a really good business model, right?
Yeah.
Where that falls apart versus the mobile industry is that the users that we can currently get from user acquisition are not focused very well. In fact, they're what we might call low engagement users. So I've joked about this before on the dev forums when they're asking for feedback on this thing. Essentially, if you're paying for sponsorships at the moment or paying for ads, you're essentially looking at a paid downvoting service. That's essentially what you're building for your game if you pay for that stuff. Because the users that come in, you'll get the user numbers, but what you'll also get is a massive influx of downvotes because the people who come in are like, oh, I clicked on the ad and it's not suitable for me. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna downvote this thing. So your rating's gonna fall, which don't get me started on the rating system. The whole thing needs to get in the C as far as I'm concerned. It's an awful system because it discourages this kind of thing. It discourages you from bringing in large volumes of players.
Yeah. Because if I see a Roblox game with like a 54% rating, I'm not playing it.
Exactly
just-
right.
yeah.
But there might be nothing wrong with it. They might have just
Yeah.
literally got linked by some smart ass YouTuber who and then everybody downvoted it. You
Yeah.
don't know the history of why that's like that is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then those users, those low engagement users that come piling in because of the advertising, that they've got an even closer to, like, most Roblox games have about a 50% washout in the first 60 seconds. All of the top developers I've spoken to have said exactly the same thing. You'll go mad if you try and fix this, right? So you're already looking at half your visitors who come and join your game, they've left in the first 30 to 60 seconds, and they're not going to pay. So it's a 50% washout before you even begin. And then after that, with low engagement users, they wash out really, really quickly and they don't purchase. So all they do is basically drive up your total number of visitors, but your actual lifetime value per user takes a huge hit when you start bringing in massive amounts of users with that kind of campaign.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not a fan of how Roblox's advertisements and sponsors are from my experience. And I'm sure some other people here could speak on that. But it feels like unless you're spending, like tens of thousands worth of like Robux, essentially, like huge sums of money to advertise these games. Then you'll see games that like consistently advertise over and over, like, and it's like they're probably pushing a lot of money because you see them very frequently. But unless you're pushing that amount of money, you can, throw away like 10,000 at an advertisement and get, maybe 1,000 plays, not like if even.
Yeah, I've probably sunk about 2 million Robux through advertising.
That's
on this thing.
wild.
So I'm pretty familiar with how it scales, and it really is just a paid downvoting service at this point, and a paid way to slash your lifetime value on your game.
Oh yeah.
So then, in that case, what is your most preferred way of marketing?
I've tried a bunch of things. Really, the most reliable way to do it is to get into a feedback loop with other content developers, like people with parasocial relationships, like YouTubers and TikTokers and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what's been working for my game, especially like the fact that they got a previous project, it did fairly well, but that taught me a lot about marketing and social media and all of that, and that was really getting my foot in the door. So with this project, I was able to figure this out a lot more successfully, have more connections as well, and now I haven't sunk a single penny into advertising. Well, I mean, percent for a marketer, but he's upkeeping all the socials for me, so it's like huge weight off my back there. But
yeah,
essentially
that's really
like not putting anything into marketing, and it's doing fairly successful.
That's because Roblox marketing is too cheap at the moment and too unfocused.
Yeah.
If Roblox would charge me 10 times or 100 times more per user, but they're actually an engaged user that's going to like my game and possibly will turn into a paying customer, then that's worth it. I haven't looked at it since the latest changes where they got rid of all of the under 13s, which are notorious non-payers, and they haven't checked it out to see if you can make better decisions based upon the new analytics they've put in, because you can actually see your funnels now, but you couldn't see that before. It may not hold true as it did, but I still suspect that it's largely you're not getting hyper engaged users through that system with how it is at the moment still.
Yeah, and speaking of which, in terms of like the entire like Roblox advertisement, marketing, and revenue scheme, are you fighting for us developers? As you yourself are one yourself, are you fighting with us? Because there are a lot of people that like we want some change with some of the policies that Roblox conducts, especially with the amount of money they take away from developers.
Of course. I mean, I've been actively I've been actively engaging more and more and more with the Roblox product owner community and just, the PMs on a bunch of different things. I'm not deeply, but I have to pick my battles, right? And where I'm most qualified to talk about is game engine stuff, because I'm a game engine developer by trade.
Yeah.
And so that's where I put my efforts in. I pick one or two things per year, and I basically work with Roblox until we get them fixed. I am aware of those conversations, and I have them pretty regularly with other top developers and even with some of the Roblox people themselves about these things, about the economy in the marketplace, and about what we want to see changed, which is why I'm able to talk about UA off the top of my head, is because it's like, yeah, I've had all of these conversations before. We all know exactly what the problem is. We all saw that everybody get slammed in their funnel charts. To give an example, I had a conversation with the Roblox people behind the analytics that we get about having benchmarks. The benchmark lines that we have in the analytics now, where you can compare yourself to top experiences. That came directly out of. Well, that I don't want to take credit for anything other than I suggested very strongly that they do that. I thought that would be really, really useful, because I didn't know what numbers were good. Like I was running an experience. I had 1,000 concurrent users, but I was looking at these numbers and I'm like, is this good? Is this bad? And I was begging other developers. Like Onnit was very kind to me and gave me some insight comparatively for his numbers and stuff. But I figured everyone should have access to this, and so I kind of begged and pleaded with him a little bit, and then a year later it turned up, and it was like, oh, this is fantastic. This is actually really useful for running a project.
Yeah, and it's really good, like doing things like that, because it really one thing, another thing we need here on the Roblox Devs scene is more solidarity with your other fellow developers, and just fighting for each other, because it's more like basically like we're creating a Roblox union of sorts for Roblox creatives. But yeah.
So just understanding who to talk to really helps too.
Yeah.
So Mr. ChickenRocket, the last question for the afternoon is, do you have any words of advice for us as a unit, as CATMOB? Like, is there anything that you think we should hear from you, or anything like that? And for the people who are watching at home, and for the future people who might watch.
Well, I mean, I'm super impressed. Everything you guys make, I enjoyed the heck out of. Just stay engaged, stay open, share what you're working on. Don't try and hoard secrets for some kind of advantage with other people, because that kind of openness and that kind of open communication, you never know when it's going to pay off. You never know when it's going to come back as a positive win, right? Like, don't be like those artists that figure out some new Roblox trick and then lord it over everybody. Don't be those guys.
Some of those people on Twitter, and we actually had somebody close to like the CATMOB little group who I thought it was pretty funny. He's I think he's ousted like some of these like gatekeepers on Twitter once or twice, showing how to actually do the things that they'll post a tweet like showing off something cool they made, and then they'll gatekeep it, and then he just comes in and shows everyone how they do it. Like, I think it's really funny.
Yeah, just keep sharing, just stay open, right?
Yeah,
that's the main advice, because you'll build community in both directions.
Absolutely.
All right, this has been really fun. Sorry if I prattled on about things. I always feel like I talk too much.
We enjoy we definitely enjoyed the insight.
I think we all
were
went this not expecting like learn as much as we did, and I think that's great.
Yeah,
we all learned, no matter who here knew what already. Like I'm sure that's the beauty of it all. That's one of the big things about CATMOB is everyone kind of pools what they know together. So you know, even introducing guests like you into the mix, like we all learn something new, and we all, you know, share information amongst ourselves. So it's like an enlightenment of sorts, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess that'll be it for the night, for us at least. I know it's probably like 1 in the afternoon for you, but we just hope you have a good day, and we want to thank you all for taking the time to be on our little show and answering all of our questions, and you know, just contributing to the conversation. Y'all.
Yes.
nice of you.
Thank you. We appreciate you so much for coming out.
I hope you
supporting.
hope you're excited for everything we'll make in the future, and you know, we'll keep in touch, of course.
Yeah, little dance party on the table, on the new table.
Table dance party.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Little dance
Oh,
party
yeah.
on the new table.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Hold on.
Actually, Mr. Chicken, let me give you a quick tour of the room. So over here, this is the original
show me,
podcast
show
room.
Yeah, we can-
It's
we
the
can edit the
original
tour real quick.
podcast room.
Oh yeah.
Right here.
I like
What
the
is this?
sitting
I
animation
forgot
and
to
walk.
say.
Maddox scripted the TV.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
One thing I wanna
Ricey
say-
made the table in the
one
room.
thing I have
pretty
to say
much.
real quick is just to prove how much of a unit these guys are. They built like this entire hallway and that entire guest room in probably like an hour, like right before
Yeah,
you got on the
an
show.
hour.
That's why you saw
Mr.
them. I was flying
I'm
around
very,
showing
very-
them just push like. stuff
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
something scrambling.
Yeah.
A little bit of
I like it.
procrastination.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Little
yeah,
bit of
look,
procrastination.
I did my thingy thing, the mob, the Lasiba mob.
Yeah, this room
that's
is
Every-
filled with a lot of references to all of
Memorabilia.
memorabilia
Yeah.
to our past projects and accomplishments along the way.
Over here's a basketball. This is from Rooftop Basketball. You can play the game now. Rooftop Basketball 2 right here, and you can join the group,
Hey,
Mr. Chicken.
Mr. Chicken.
Yeah.
Maddox posted earlier on Twitter, like I think a month ago. It was a mob for a game we're working on, Lasiba Depths, and you posted some really nice feedback, talking about how like I just let Maddox take it. Maddox, you good?
Yeah,
You good.
so
Go ahead,
I tweeted about the mob, and then you retweeted it, and you said it was nice, and how NPC or mobs and Roblox should be, and it made me feel very happy. I'm very.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. I mean, you want? Was that the chunky boy?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. He had some chunk to him. I thought he was great. It was.
Yeah, these guys have a lot of cool stuff planned. I think you should keep an eye out for that. Also, for anyone
Yeah.
watching, make sure if you guys in chat haven't heard of CATMOB, this is your first experience with us, then feel free to join us on all our socials. We have Twitter, Discord. You might be watching it from the YouTube channel, but we have a lot of stuff planned, and I'm sure all of you guys will probably be diehard fans sooner or later. At least
Yeah.
that's the goal, you know.
And I'll just pimp myself here. You should definitely give Mr. ChickenRocket a
Of
follow on
course.
Twitter.
Go
I'm
follow
always
my Twitter. I have
posting
it-
yours.
Yes, please.
For people watching
Absolutely.
my stream, I have it linked first thing in the description. So go check him out. He's a great guy,
Yes.
super talented, and
And on the official CatMob Twitter, we introduced you kind of briefly. So if you guys are coming on that, please follow Mr. Chicken and say thank you for coming out. And yeah, that's what I have to say.
Anytime. Get me back if you ever have specific questions.
For sure.
Absolutely.
it'd be
Absolutely.
wonderful. It'd be great. We might have we're planning to have sort of an auditorium thing at some point where we can have viewers of the show come on and just like sit in the audience while we do our little discussion or whatever. It'd be nice to have you pop
Yeah.
in once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, this
And,
is the promise of the metaverse, right?
Yeah, it's great.
Yes.
Actual
absolutely.
studio.
Mhm.
Yes.
We paid
And-
$0 in rent for this. Like we're balling.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
It's nice.
we're in the nice the skyline, the hills of Robloxia.
Yeah, just don't zoom
right
out your
here.
camera.
You need to set up a hot tub. We'll have a hot tub stream.
Oh yeah.
Yo,
Twitch
Twitch?
would love that. Twitch would love that.
Twitch?
We gotta go multi-platform, baby.
Make the game 17 plus.
Oh my god. What's your opinions on 17 plus?
Roblox,
Yeah.
real quick.
Yeah,
Roblox
wait.
after
What are your opinions on 17 plus? Just like a quick question.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what 17 plus is on Roblox yet because
Okay.
every time somebody
Drinking.
tries to,
That's about it.
We got an
Drinking and blood.
experience to share with you, right? So me, Anthony, and Threes, we were playing this game that our friend Brian, Fouled Anchors, I don't know if you know him. but he made it, and it's like a drinking game, and it was actually really fun because everyone had VC, and we were just we were messing around, and we were having a great time.
You could make
It's called On Tap.
Yeah,
It's called On Tap.
I'll
So
link
go
it
ahead
to
and
you
check that
later.
out.
Yeah,
Mr.
and
Chicken.
there's drunken bar fights.
Oh yeah,
and
it's
all
great.
types of
I like
stuff.
making
Yeah,
people a
it's-
drink called the death sentence. It's a couple different things.
Yeah,
then you
you
kinda
can
just
make
flop over
custom
like this.
drinks.
You take
Yeah,
you
it's
take
a
two
really
sips,
cool
you're done. You take 2 sips, you're not coming back up from that one.
Not even, bro. I could take 3. No reaction. Stop playing.
No
with me.
Yeah, no
reaction.
reaction.
Yeah,
It's
see,
called-
see,
it's
that's the
called
thing
on
though, because nobody knows what's actually going to work on this
Yeah,
platform.
it's
The one
tough,
thing that I
yes.
can say is, if you've built games on other platforms and you try and bring them here, that doesn't work. That we've seen it again and again and again. Like, what users find valuable
It
here
really
is
depends because I
its
feel like
own
mobile
thing.
games are a market, but yeah, there's like been a lot of attempts to recreate other games, especially like AAA games. Those I feel like those never turn out well.
No, I mean even basic stuff. Like if I went and recreated Candy Crush or something like
Yeah.
that in Roblox, nobody
At all.
Like some of
yeah,
it, like-
yeah, right.
Some of it, like when they turn like a mobile game concept into like a simulator or something, that those will do well. You know, you'll see those do well for a bit. But I feel like I've
Or-
never really seen something like I've never seen those staple games that everyone knows. But it's like now on Roblox, like say Tetris. Everyone knows what Tetris is. People have played Tetris. I've seen Tetris clones on Roblox before, but none of them been like front page.
Yeah. Wait, 3. So are you like? Did you end the stream?
Oh no, I'm still
It's just like-
going. My
Oh,
viewers
yeah.
have
You
dwindled,
should
though.
probably end it because.
Yeah.
Goodbye, stream. It's
Goodbye.
been
Goodbye,
great
stream.
hanging out with you
Goodbye,
guys,
stream.
and I'll see you next week.